some, and cooking all the way. Ha, ha, ha. Them boys are back in the Web3 trap tonight.
the biggest duel in the Web3 space.
You know what I'm saying? The big two in the Web3. Shout out to Candace. Shout out to Zay Knight. You know what I'm saying?
We
Love to
gotta
see it.
we gotta take that term, the big two of the Web3 space. Here on episode 16 of the Block to Block podcast, the best podcast in the world for all things Web3. Here we break down the technology, what's going on in the market, and the ways in which you can benefit. I am NFT and Jai.
Niam Web3 Wayne.
And over here, the talk is different.
Always. If you ain't know about now, you need to go watch episode 1 through 15 so you can understand how different the talk is. And the talk is so different that we got to let you know that this podcast is for general information purposes only. In
Mhm.
no event will we be liable for you losing your guala, your guap, your cheddar, your cheese, your bread, your brisket. We don't got nothing to do with that. So we will not be liable for any loss or damage derived from the information provided. Please conduct your own due diligence and consult a financial advisor and or any other certified professional. Just don't blame us. And with that, let's get it started. Let's get it started. Hey man, we wanted to we know that the last few weeks, last few episodes, there's been a lot of focus on FTX and what's going on with this situation, SBF, the name that should not be spoken, the boogeyman of Web3 of crypto has been dominating dominating the market, dominating the news cycle. But we wanted to bring a little bit of a different story to kick it off today. And it's crazy because it's still gonna be connected to it. That's how far reaching FTX was in terms of the Web3 space, the crypto space. But we wanna kick it off. We're talking about Polygon's co-founder addressing criticism that their project is just as bad as Solana. And when we talk about their project being just as bad as Solana, you know what we're talking about? We are talking about centralization, right? Solana has been getting, their man, they've been getting, kicked while they were down for the last few weeks since we found out about FTX because of their relationship with FTX and how close they were. So Polygon's co-founder Sandeep Nailwal went on defense against ecosystems who are feeling defeated and jealous, as he stated. Right. So the comment was motivated by a tweet by Mert Mumtaz. So Mert Mumtaz is the co-founder and CEO of Helios Labs and has used the funding to pay people to use the chain. Well, he said, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. He pointed out that Polygon had received more VC money than Solana and had used the funding to pay people to use the chain and acquire companies. Ooh. My dude Mumtaz wasn't playing no games. He was coming for Polygon. And we,
Talking heavy.
man, we have an affinity to Polygon. That's the blockchain that we use. But we thought we need to bring both sides of the table, to the conversation tonight, right? And since FTX's collapse, the narrative had around Solana has taken a big hit, right? That narrative that Solana is, they're in the red, they're really going through some difficult times because of what's going on with FTX, and especially with former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, having backed Solana to usurp Ethereum, right? He was looking at Solana as, this is going to be the blockchain that's going to rule them all. And of course, as we've seen, the opposite has been in effect since that collapse. And so in response to, Mumtaz, well, before we get to that response, one more thing, right? Mumtaz did want to point out that he thought it was excuse me. He thought it was relevant to point out Polygon had received 50 million from FTX's sister company Alameda, yet does not suffer the same put downs as Solana. We wonder why, right? We really wonder why. And it's not for us to say exactly why the market sees Polygon is not in the same situation as Solana, but there are some reasons, right? So in response to Mumtaz Nailwal, right, who is the CEO of Polygon, he said Polygon won not because of wielding VC money to buy favor. Instead, it won because of the power and pull of Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
So he says it is because they are, side chain, of Ethereum that they really have a bit of a leg up because of people wanting to build on Ethereum. And more specifically, he said that entities want to build on Ethereum. Get this, not on half-baked L1s. Put simply, Polygon's attraction boils down to it providing access to the Ethereum chain. Ooh, boy. Sparks are flying. Sparks are flying.
Bang
We
bang.
have, it's getting serious. It's getting serious. But it makes sense, right? When we talk about Ethereum, a lot of people think of Ethereum when they think of blockchain technology and dApps, decentralized applications. You think of Ethereum, and they've really built themselves in a way where they're kind of more parallel to an FTX than a Solana, who was coming from a place of trying to fundraise from an FTX or some of these other VCs. So Ethereum really has a great ecosystem and a great foundation. So I can see why Polygon CEO sees that as their ultimate benefit of why they're not feeling the burn as much when it comes to this FTX situation. Another reason as well, just addressing the matter of VC influence. Melwall also, or Nailwall, I should say, also said investments were made at a time when Polygon was valued at $8 billion, right? So what does this mean? It really means nothing without the context of those VCs that invested into Polygon control only 5% of the Matic token supply,
Mm.
right? So if you go listen to our past episodes, we talked a little bit about how Solana is going to be impacted and how much of Sol Solana holds. If I'm not mistaken, it was somewhere around like 40% of Sol or something like that, right?
Episode 12.
Yep. And so here we're talking about VCs in total hold only 5% of that Matic token supply. So, FTX alone, it might only be, 1-2% versus 40% of Solana. So really, when you look at Polygon, they're in a pretty good position. But at the end of the day, Nailwall did concede that no ecosystem is perfect, but he
Mm-hmm.
prefers to focus on improving and encouraging others rather than bad mouthing the competition. And for even more context, this was from a Twitter thread that Nailwall and his counterpart Mumtaz were kind of going at it on. So, with that, just some takeaways and some of my thoughts around this situation and this story with Polygon and Helios uh, CEO is that centralization isn't the sole issue when it comes to Solana, right? We've talked about, what does decentralization truly mean, and whether centralization is really bad, and it's not all the way bad, right? It's not solely a bad thing to be centralized, but when it comes to Web3, it's kind of what we look for, and blase blase, but you know this situation has so much more to do on Solana's side with the amount of exposure that they have because of their relationship with FTX, right? And what we've seen from Polygon is, you know, really an application of good business practices consistent with other industries, right? Like we're seeing them, you know, take the approach of we're going to get this VC funding, but we're going to make sure our valuation is in a good place. We're going to make sure we're not over leveraged with any investor where they control too much of what we do,
Exactly.
right? And when it comes to this crypto, blockchain, Web3 space, you know, it was seen as this new territory where anything goes and as a new way to do business. And you know, this can be this new frontier. But like many things, you know, this was wishful thinking. We talk about these innovative and, you know, how it's going to change the world. You kind of get into this wishful thinking is hoping that, you know, things are different and better. And really what that is the common person being sold a dream while those with all the money, right? Those at the top are just raking in the cash.
Yep.
They're raking in the cash. So, I mean, going back to just the story at hand, there are good arguments being made here about Polygon and its backing from VCs, FTX, and other corporate entities. I think, you know, it's always good to be aware of the pros and cons of any platform, right? Nothing is going to be perfect. You know, this isn't going to be a situation where, you know, you're just going to find the perfect blockchain, right? You have to weigh your pros and cons. You have to do your due diligence. You have to know what you want to stand for as a company, right? And what you're, you know, how much risk you're willing to take. Um, and really just go from there. You know, again, you're not going to have it perfect, you know, and to be honest, Polygon is not absolved, you know, of the effects or from the effects of this crypto winter. But it looks like they've done enough to ensure that they can outlast a lot of the competition, right? Solana is not looking great. I'm sure that they'll make it through, but you know, they're gonna have a huge hill to climb to get over the mess of FTX versus a Polygon. So we'll see what happens and you know what the future holds for Polygon and Solana as blockchains. Um, and on my end, I'm gonna be monitoring this situation closely because you know we on Polygon. So
Hmm.
just in case we need to get up out of there.
Have to. But yeah, thanks for unpacking that, man. Like, it's definitely important, especially in this time where a lot of these projects are like unraveling,
Yeah,
and we're starting to see like, oh, these projects aren't exactly what they say they is, right? So
yeah,
yeah, in terms of like Polygon, like I think is very important. One, just for viewers, like don't just take things at face value, right? So like as you mentioned, like one of the criticisms was, well, FTX also invested in Polygon just like they invested in Solana. So at face value, you're like, oh man, like oh maybe Polygon's at the same level of risk. But as you mentioned, like only 5% you said, or 5 or 6%
just 5%.
only by VCs of the Matic token. So like it's all relative, right? Like you gotta that's one thing you gotta look at when you evaluate these blockchains is essentially what's the risk ratio? Like
Yeah.
how much leverage do outside parties have? And that also ties into the level of centralization of the cryptocurrency of those chains. So
Yeah. And
that's
another, you know, another thing to add to that, that's a great point, Mama doing. And you know, I think for if you're the common person trying to understand this blockchain area, this blockchain space, you're the common person just getting into Web3 and trying to figure out like how do I make these assessments and understand what's going on in the market. I think a big thing to look at too is, you know, the roadmap, right? What are they planning down the line? You know, also looking at the platforms as well, right? There isn't just one blockchain. You talk about a marketplace like the Timbuktu or a marketplace like, you know, your wearables and OpenSeas, whatever it may be. They, you know, you're seeing a lot of them have multiple blockchains on there, right? And you're seeing different ways that decentralization can come to the forefront when it comes to that technology. So when it comes to like a Polygon, I mean, when you talk about blockchain in general, it's inherently decentralized, and their platform, their blockchain, and specifically does have a lot of centralization. It's also good to look at. Okay, well, what are they going to do down the line to decentralize their platform? Is that something that they're even looking at?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and it may not be clear cut, straightforward, but that's something to keep listening to. As more things come out and things become more simplified, look for, hey, who's gonna put me in the best position to win and not have me under, the normal, sitting behind these big corporations and things of such.
Right. And that's why it's also important to watch every episode of Block to Block. You make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share with everybody you believe who should get this knowledge. Because in previous episodes, whether it's the story with Starbucks partnering with Polygon or
Yep.
with Robinhood Financials partnering with Polygon, we're
Yep.
seeing the execution of these chains, right? That's another big thing. Is okay, yes, on theory, on paper, it's important to look at these roadmaps, right? But let's be real, anybody can tell you whatever on paper. It all sounds good. Like for all of the ladies who watch Block to Block, there's been plenty of times when you hear fellas in the past like, "Yeah, baby, I'm gonna show you the world." When it comes to the execution, all they do is take you around the corner store. Like,
I'm saying what the actions add up to.
what are
Not
the actions added up to? So,
nothing.
so in the relations to blockchain networks and projects, seeing like how are these founders, how are these teams really executing the roadmap, right? Like we see Polygon's taking an approach in which they're trying to meet people where they're at and make Web3 more accessible to quote unquote Web2 users, so just the everyday person.
Mhm.
So that's one indication of their probability for success. So
Yeah.
these are just some of the things that we got to look at.
And I mean, look, that also applies to those DeFi marketplaces, DeFi platforms as well, man. I need you to tell the people about what's going on with Binance, because I think that's a big story in terms of that Web3 crypto world. We took a big hit with FTX. Binance, they made some promises. We was like, look, FTX also said that they was good too. So what's really going on? So definitely let the people know what's going on with Binance.
Right. So as we know, Binance is the world's largest crypto exchange in terms of trading volume. And what they have underwent was essentially an audit, an unofficial audit, in which they showed that they actually have enough Bitcoin in their reserves to cover the balances for users. Right. So the term they used was like being over collateralized and whatnot. Essentially just saying like, hey, are you guys vulnerable like a FTX? Like if everybody wanted to cash out or put out their money, are you able to handle that amount of risk? And the answer was yes.
Mm,
So,
that's
but
huge.
a couple of caveats that we do have to pay attention to. So, Binance underwent this audit by this organization called Mazars, right? And they did a proof of reserves audit, and proof of reserves is just a protocol that you use to see, like, hey, do the accounts of these crypto exchanges actually have the crypto? Do they have enough money to cover their liabilities, right? Do you got
Mm.
to like that's what reserves boils down to.
Yep.
And so, a few caveats about the report. One, it only focused on Bitcoin specifically. Now, mind you, Binance is the world's largest crypto exchange. So there's hundreds of different types of cryptocurrency within their platform. So
Mm.
there's Ether for Ethereum, Sol for Solana, ADA for Cardano, and much, much, much more. Hundreds, right? So this audit only focused on Bitcoin. And while the results did show they can cover their Bitcoin liability, we don't know what's the story for the other cryptocurrencies. So that's one caveat. The second one is this was really just like a snapshot in time. So this was the report as of November 22nd. Right now we're in December the 8th, and I believe that time frame in which they looked at all this was like for like a week. As we know, life can happen, things can change, circumstances can maneuver, and who knows where their liability may be as of right now today. But nonetheless, according to this report, Binance is at a ratio of 101%, meaning that if they had to pay off all the Bitcoin right now, they can cover 100% of it and have 1% over because of the amount of Bitcoin they have in their reserves. And at the time of this report, that reserve amount was 9.7 billion
Oof.
worth of Bitcoin.
Shoot, I'll take 1% of that.
You feel me? Shoot, I take a percent of that.
Facts.
Shoot, what we talking
Facts.
about?
Shout
But
out to seven stream Sean. Shout out to him.
shout out to Sean. Watch episode 8 when Sean gave you the blueprint of how to be a Web3 developer. Man, we have fire every episode. But anyway, overall, this every episode. Overall, but this whole report from Binance does give some level of calm, right? Because remember, FTX was the number 2 crypto exchange. Binance is the number 1. So the question was, are all these exchanges super vulnerable? Like, are their financials really messed up? And so
Right.
with undergoing this proof of reserve audit, if you will, we're seeing we're seeing a level of transparency, and it's really cool because if you was to like dig into like how they did this, they were like looking at all the Binance's wallets, they were doing like test transactions and just using the blockchain to validate all this information. So it's really a great use case of like how blockchain technology can be a powerful tool when it comes to like the auditing process. Because remember, blockchain technology is simply, at the very simplest of terms, open databases that has all of these transaction histories,
That's all it is. That's all
open to
it is.
anybody.
Yep. Yep.
So overall, it was definitely a positive note. However, my personal thoughts on this, we do have to reserve our full thoughts until all type of complete audit is undergone over at Binance. Because once
Yep.
again, this only looked at Bitcoin. We don't know about the level of liabilities when it comes to
Yep.
Ethereum or Cardano or Matic or whatever cryptocurrency is on the platform.
And I mean, regardless of its volatility, Bitcoin is one of the more stable cryptocurrencies. So,
Right.
I mean, it's almost like it's not saying much if, you're saying, oh, like all the Bitcoin, we're good there. Like, of course, like that's the one where you don't have people doing voodoo in the background to like get the crypto to go to the moon or whatever whatever they want to call it. So I think that's a great point, Mamadou, is we gotta like just take a second to say, all right, this is good. This is a good first step, but what's the full picture, right?
So the advice stays the same since episode 8 to now episode 16. Do not, and I repeat, do not keep your cryptocurrency within these exchanges. Okay?
At least not all. At least not all.
Like you can use these exchanges
Dip a
to
dabble.
to purchase your crypto and whatnot. That's totally fine. However, when it comes to holding your crypto for safekeeping, take it off these exchanges, put it in your own wallets, whether that's a non-custodial wallet like a MetaMask wallet or a code wallet where it's like a piece of hardware that's completely disconnected from the internet.
Yep.
Like, you have to protect yourself because
Yep.
once again, while this report looks pretty good, is they did preface it by saying it's an unofficial type audit. It's not the official audit, and we simply don't know the full level of risk. And that's my take.
Steps in the right direction is what I'm hearing. I'm not hearing like the people are good, but I'm hearing is like you can at least like be rest assured that partially the platform will be okay. And I think, you know, when it comes to the state of the market, that's pretty much all they needed to do. Is like they didn't need people on their platform also going on the bank run, right? Like that
Exactly.
would have that would have just destroyed. Of course, it would have destroyed them. Like regardless of if you have the reserves or not, people going on a bank run is not good for these platforms.
At all.
Plain and simple. Um,
It's
so
like, imagine if the New York Stock Exchange, everybody was like, I don't believe in stocks whatsoever. We need to cash out, all my money out. Or a better example, like the Great Depression, right? Everybody was trying to go to the bank to bring out their money, and the banks was closed down. They couldn't do it.
yep,
Never a good situation.
yep, exactly, exactly. Listen, uh, Binance is in it to win it, man. They're playing chess. Everybody else is playing checkers. I love to see it. It's definitely, again, just some good signs that the market is not going all the way to nothing. It's there's some sliver of hope somewhere in there. So
They definitely are playing chess because they're, if you recall from episode 12, they're a big part of the reason why FTX is down and out today.
hey man,
Hey, but shout out to Binance. All is fair in love and war.
shout out to ZC baby, CZ. My bad. Shout out to CZ.
All
It's
right,
not
right.
his fault.
Careful now. Get the acronym right. That's what can do to exchange.
You feel me? Before he come after us,
Mm.
had Timbuktu on the bank run.
These are our favorite letters.
Facts, facts. Well,
Man,
man, I think you got any last words there, or are you feeling good about that?
the only thing I
Yeah.
gotta say is the people need your world famous quick takes.
Ooh, we got a good one today too.
Be fiending for them, man.
We look,
Like, I get a quick take, please, my brother.
we got a good one today, and it's really gonna be a quick take. Like I know I've been giving y'all speeches with these quick takes, but not today. I just
Please.
want to look. I wanted to give y'all a little in and out. You know what I'm saying? A little water on the grease. So of course, we've heard about these big corporations getting into the Web3 space, especially footwear brands like the Adidas and the Nike of the world. They've begun to immerse themselves in the Web3 sphere,
Mm.
teaming up with notable creators for their very own virtual goods. However, many of these have not been too well received as the digital nature goes against the physical foundation of the hobby itself. When it comes to streetwear, when it comes to sneakers, when it comes to this space, this community, the digital goods are just not doing it for them. And I understand. I understand. We got a chance to go to SneakerCon back in August, and it was an amazing experience, man. It was the energy and the vibrancy of being in that community. You can't recreate that just with NFTs. You can't create that solely on a digital platform. And Nike has understood that and taken that to heart and say, you know what? Let's continue to innovate. Let's continue to push forward. So Nike and FKT, RTFKT. I gotta figure out how to say that synonym. I mean that acronym because I ain't. I need to find a synonym for it. I don't know what that's
This
supposed to.
man got is mixing up acronyms and cinnamon.
Rit the. Never mind. It's not even gonna sound right if I try to say it. But anyway, Nike and RTFKT are attempting to reconcile this, struggle with going into the digital space with Crypto Kicks IRL, the first native Web3 sneaker. And if you don't know what IRL means, that means in real life, right? So they're combining new technology with the swooshish decades of experience in the industry. And the project aims to bridge the digital and physical worlds, all in 4 debut colorways called the Blackout, Stone, Ice, and Space Matter. Crypto Kicks IRL will be limited to 19,000 pairs, with the colorway split to be redeemed. My bad, I'm sorry. The colorway split to be determined. There we go, by the collectors themselves. So they will be sold as NFTs, and then you can redeem those NFTs for the physical counterparts, a process that RTFKT dubs forging. If you would like to secure a pair of any of the 4 above mentioned colorways, the public draw is live from now until December 9th at 11 a.m. Eastern on rtfkt.com. This is not even an ad. I just wanted to give y'all the quick take. So make sure you go ahead, enter that, get into this Web3 world. To enter, you must have an RTFKT account, crypto wallet supported by Wallet Connect, a U.S. shipping address, and at least 0.5 ETH, roughly 616 USD in your wallet, and only one entry per unique account. And your wallet address will be allowed. So go ahead, check them out. That's a quick take for the day, giving y'all some game on how you get into Web3. If you're into streetwear, if you're into sneakers, again, go ahead and cop those Crypto Kicks IRL. Definitely comment, let us know if you copped a pair because of this, this episode. Again, this is not a paid ad. We just wanted to bring y'all some free game, let y'all know what's going on in the Web3 world. And that's the quick take for the day. Y'all get into it.
Man, fire. A couple of things. One, RTFKT. We need a check. That wasn't.
I know.
I didn't even know you was going to do all that. I would have told you,
Cut it off. Look, sometimes you gotta just let the people know what's going on, right? Like,
you can let them know, but like the way in which you packaged it, you was like, yeah, you gave them the URL, colorway.
How do people supposed to find it, man? Look, they only got until tomorrow at 11 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Most people might not even see this till tomorrow at 11 a.m. So look, I hope y'all catch it before then. If not, that just goes to show y'all need to tune in live. What are you doing? We giving y'all free. We told y'all probably from about week 5, we started realizing this free game shouldn't be free. It shouldn't be free. We need to start charging y'all.
But we love y'all.
We love y'all, man. We love y'all.
And actually, in the spirit of community, if you are interested in supporting the podcast, you can click the link below in the description at our anchor link, in which you can become a supporter, an official supporter of Block to Block podcast.
Yes.
And if you become a supporter of Block to Block podcast, you might get, you'll definitely get special benefits, like maybe you be on the show, or maybe you meet us, or maybe you come to one of our many events that we're having next year. So
you might get one of them NFTs that we got going. You never know.
So help a brother out and support the podcast.
And support too, so we can garner more resources to give y'all more information. You know what I'm saying? We can get more people onto the platform. And we could get a little studio space, give y'all a nice little setup.
Yeah, I'm telling you, because when I went and did Aki's when I went to the Pepper Soup Talk studio, shout out to Aki, watched episode 15. We spoke with that brother about how to build a real estate company in Web3. But so the story is, I did his podcast that Tuesday, and then he did our show that following Thursday, which was last week. Man, that studio fire.
We gotta step our game up. That's all it is. They challenging us.
We gave him a virtual link. That's all we gave that man to join.
Yeah.
I look.
Season 2, we coming at the hat for season 2. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
we're gonna bring some pressure.
Yeah. The last Thursday of this week will be the finale of season 1.
Make sure you tune in.
But the first Thursday, Season 2, fire.
Here, look, don't think because we switching seasons, we gonna take a week off. What? Come
Nah,
on, man. What's going on? What's going
absolutely.
on?
But back to that story, like that quick take, what's important and what's really telling is really the direction where NFTs are going. Because once
Mhm.
again, you know, NFTs primarily have just been focused on digital, like digital assets. And what that's great and all, what we've seen with with this crypto winter, this bear market,
Mhm.
that the overall value of these entities are being called into question. People are like, man, there's no intrinsic value. It's just perhaps it's just a digital artwork or what have you,
Yeah.
but I don't really get no real utility from this NFT. And which is why we focused on physical NFTs, right? NFTs that are paired with physical collectibles. And as we can see with this play that Nike and our what's the acronym again? It's so long. RTFKT is doing is
Right. Block.
they're having these digital NFTs that can be redeemed for physical shoes. So, you know, just to say, this is where the market is going. Like we're going to see more of this interconnection between both the digital and physical worlds. So, just want to bring that out. And yeah, powerful quick take.
Question:
Yes, sir.
would you pronounce it artifact? Is that what they're trying to do? Artifact? Artifact?
I don't know
I don't
if
know.
they cut a check. Maybe
Look,
we could've-
artifact. Look, I'm gonna call them artifact. Artifact hit us up so we could pronounce the name of your company right. Cause we trying to not free. I guess it is free promo. Dang. Listen, we trying to put the Web3 community on. We trying to put the Web2 community onto these Web3 things, man. So hit us up, Web3 Wayne, NFT Enjoy. You could see our socials right there. Hit our line. Also, if y'all didn't know, at Relink Global, at the Timbuktu, at Block to Block Podcast. Follow us on social media. Man, we have great content coming there as well. If you didn't know, our Relink Global social media, especially on our Instagram, we have some great lives from a lot of the partners that we're working with now, some past partners. We have great content on there. Definitely check us out for sure. And Mamadou, with that, look, I think the people ready for the market. They need to know what's going on, what's happening.
absolutely. Because the market has been very interesting. Because as we know, we are in Q4, which is the last quarter of the year. However, we got the numbers have come out on the level of fundraising that Web3 startups have accumulated for Q3
Okay,
of this
okay.
year. So, what we found is Web3 startups, meaning companies focused on DeFi, NFTs, and the metaverse, where they all were able to fundraise from venture capitalists and investors $3 billion in the last quarter.
Ain't terrible.
True, that's like almost $1 billion a month when you think about it.
I mean, yeah, we're gonna see what Q4 look like, cause
Yeah. However, like we once again, everything's all about context, right?
true.
Even though 3 billion is a big number, that is still a 24% drop from the second quarter of this year. And once again, like when we it's a bear market we've been undergoing. A lot of these projects have been falling apart. A lot of exchanges have been dealing with cybersecurity issues. And then the latest thing, this FTX scandal, which technically happened in Q4, but the space is coming into question.
I was gonna
And
say we're seeing this after the effects of Terra Luna, right? We talk about Q2. That was right at the beginning of Q2. Um, so I'm sure by the time Q3 started, you kind of see more of the effect of that, where people like, hold on, let me hold on to my money. So definitely, as we go into Q1 next year, definitely would love to see what Q4 looked like after FTX, which is like the big blow up, right? All these VCs are catching strays now, where it's let's see what happens. Let's see what
yeah,
happens.
now, while okay, yes, it did drop. Like it's very important to have like a longer time horizon, right? You got to look at things year over year, because
Okay.
last year during this time, like these companies only raised almost 2.7 billion. So technically speaking, from November of 2021 to this time now, we've seen an increase of VC funding for Web3 companies, right? And the overall annual funding level is set to reach a record of 29 billion by the end of this year, which is a 10% improvement from last year. So while things have been kind of shaky, for lack of a better term, we have seen a steady increase of investment dollars within the space. Now, what's also interesting though is within Web3, it's so many technologies, right? DeFi, decentralized finance, that really refers solely to like the cryptocurrency aspect of things. And for DeFi specifically, what we've seen is it raised 1 billion last month. However, this is 1/7 of the level that it was of November of last year. So crypto specifically in terms of fundraising has taken a hit. But once again, the overall market is seeing like an increase from last year. And that probably is the investment of dollars into like other projects like NFT projects, metaverse projects. Like metaverse news has been very, very big in terms of like different gaming components coming out and everything else of that nature. And so another thing that's very important to look at when we look at funding within the Web3 space, a lot of these VC or investment dollars are strongly correlated with like the price of Bitcoin.
Mm.
Meaning, usually when Bitcoin is doing well, the investment dollars are coming in and that's doing well. But when Bitcoin takes a dip over a certain period, investment dollars tend to take a dip as well. Because once again, this is like a newer space, it's volatile. And so while VCs and investors tend to be a lot more risk tolerant, they still don't want to just have their money go to zero, right? So it's, once again, this is all newer. And so in the long run, things will start to kind of even out a bit more. But right now, it's still like really correlated towards how Bitcoin is performing. But overall, for the year, like yes, the the Web3 market has taken a hit, just like most of these markets because of recessionary times. And yes, there's been a lot of scandals. However, we are still seeing a steady increase of investment dollars within the space.
Yeah, man, that's great context there. I mean, we'll see what happens with those fundraising dollars as well, man. It's looking eerie, I would say. At the same time, this is one of those things where one, I love what you said about having like a longer term scope on things. Because I think we've, especially like with everything going on, it's been, let's just look at what's been going on in the past couple months. And while that is important to kind of forecast out, is also, it doesn't hurt to look at what has been and what is going on. So I love it. I love it.
Absolutely. And then once again, just to end off this segment with just NFT sell performance for the past 7 days. So once again, we like to look at the NFT sales because it gets a good indicator of just the sales volume within the Web3 space. And so last week, within the last past 7 days, we've seen over 35,164 NFTs been sold, which is actually down by 3.05% from the previous week. However, sales volume has slightly gone up by a little bit over 0.5% at 23.6 million. So once again, things are kind of what we saw at the end of last week when we reviewed the month. Things have been steadily going down, but you always get these little short-term sweet spots of like a slight rally, if you will. And
Yeah, man. I think people that year outlook as we get close to the end of the year, because I
oh
would
yeah,
love to see where we was at in beginning of 2022 versus now. That's You know, they always say that the fall from the top is always a
Listen,
steep one.
y'all don't even know the season finale for season 1 is going to be fire. You're going to
Crazy.
get just the overall
Crazy.
review of the year all in one episode.
We're gonna give y'all a set time. We know we on Thursday. Sometimes we go in the morning, sometimes we nighttime warriors. We're gonna give y'all a set time so y'all can tune in and catch this last week, this last season 1 episode, wrap up the year just to let y'all know, what I'm saying, what's going on, in this NFT world. We got a big episode, man. I'm excited. You never know. We might have some special guests too. Look, listen.
You never know.
You
You
never
never
know.
know.
You
Man,
never know.
and season 2,
Oh man, season 2 gonna go crazy. I can't wait.
man, we got renewed for season 2, baby.
Hey, let's go. Hey, shout out
Renewed by
to the tube. Shout out to the tube.
YouTube, the tubes of you.
Tube. Apple finally let us on their platform. Shout out to them.
Oh yes, thank
Shout
you.
out.
We are finally on Apple Podcasts.
Like, now we can
So
say it anywhere you get your podcast.
anywhere,
Anywhere.
that's Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or Apple Podcasts. You can listen to us on audio form. So if you don't have the time to be on YouTube and you're on the go into audio.
You know what I'm saying? Why you on Twitter scrolling? You feel me? You preparing to do your little TikTok dance. Get you some of this Web3 knowledge so you get some of that bread coming in. You know what I'm saying? Stay ahead of the game, stay ahead of the curve. We love to see it. And I mean, I think that's the free game for the day. Be on the lookout for the final episode, the date and time for the final episode of season 1 of the Block to Block podcast, the best podcast for all things Web3. And also make sure you are tuning in. We're on all podcast platforms. If you don't want to, or if you can't watch it, I know you want to, but if you can't watch via YouTube, make sure you check us out on those streaming platforms. And of course, come on, like, comment, subscribe, and share out. This is the season of giving. So make sure you give this game, you give this knowledge, you give this information to your good people because they need it.
They need it.
They need it.
We all need it.
They need it.
I need it too. When I be at the gym, I be listening to Block to Block.
Right. I was like, dang, I said this. Oh,
That NFT and Jai dude is real smart.
oh man. Look.
But man, like, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. This was the perfect way to end our day on an incredible Thursday. A lot of things have been popping up.
Yes, sir. Look. Jai, can you do something for me?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little rich flex for me? Anyway.
Talk about FTX for me. Man. But yeah, we appreciate y'all. Stay tuned. We be here next week, next Thursday. We don't miss a Thursday. I don't care if it's a holiday or what. We don't miss them.
And look, and with that, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Episode 16 is finito.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, this is the 4th month of the podcast.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Each week.
Man.
With that,
deuces.